So the ideal ratio, intake ratio, should ideally be less than 4 to 1. 4 omega-6s for every 1 omega-3. Now you say, wait a second. I thought the omega-3s were the good ones. Well, yes, indeed. But again, this enzyme prefers omega-3s, such that you can eat 4 times as many omega-6s and only 1/4 the amount of omega-3s, and you still make all the EPA and DHA you need, or at least that's the theory. All right, so 4 to 1 or less. Well, so if you look at the latest studies, meat eaters, the ratio for meat eaters was about 7 to 1. Not so good. The ratio for vegetarians, though, was 10 to 1. And the ratio for vegans was 15 to 1. There was a recent study on vegan kids that found a ratio of 44 to 1. Just off the charts. All right, well, where do most people get their omega-3s? Well, in this society, mostly from fish, some in poultry, a little in eggs. And not only are vegetarians not getting enough omega-3s, but it turns out in surveys that for some reason vegetarians are getting 2 to 3 times as many omega-6s as the general population. For some reason, vegetarians and vegans are just eating a lot of processed foods containing cottonseed oil and corn oil. And meat eaters can cheat. The flesh of oily fish like sardines contains preformed EPA and DHA. Right? So fish eaters don't have to worry so much about this ratio, don't have to worry so much about this enzyme, because they're getting EPA and DHA directly into their diet. And that's why you give people fish oil capsules and their risk of heart disease drops, dying from heart disease drops about 30%. And that's the reason why the American Heart Association recommends 1 to 2 fatty fish flesh meals a week. And that's reason number 1 why vegetarians may not be doing as well as we should. Okay, so what's a vegetarian to do? Well, how do we get our ratio down? Our ratio down to facilitate the making of this stuff and less of this stuff. Well, wait a second. Maybe if we ate more omega-3s and less omega-6s, that would work. All right, well, where do we get omega-3s from? Yes, indeed, greens and walnuts, but you would have to eat a lot of spinach salads with walnuts every day to get your omega-3s for the day. Thankfully, the most concentrated source of omega-3s on the planet is not fish, it's flax seeds. Flax seeds are one of the world's original health foods, been widely prized throughout history. Hippocrates used them. Mahatma Gandhi himself was right, and he always, when he said, wherever flax seeds become a regular food item among the people, there will be better health. He actually did say that. For more up-to-date reference, the alternative medicine guru, Dr. Andrew Weil, has stated that if you just make a single change to your diet, if you can just make one change to your diet, it should be to add flax seeds to your diet. Right? So, well, how do you eat them? Well, you go to your natural food store like Green Star Co-op. And you can find them in the bulk section for 99 cents a pound. There are golden ones and brown ones. Nutritionally, they're identical, so pick your favorite color. Flax seeds come in nature's finest packaging, the hard natural whole, which keeps them fresh, such that you don't even have to refrigerate them. You can keep them on your kitchen counter in an airtight container for a year, and they do just fine. Unfortunately, nature's finest packaging is just a little too good, such that if you eat the whole seed, it just kind of comes out the other end, doesn't do you any good. So, you need to grind them up. So, spice grinder, coffee grinder, food processor, a good blender will do it. You can actually buy at Green Star Cooperative Market pre-ground flax seeds for $3 a pound, but a pound will last you for months. How much of this stuff do you actually have to eat? Recommendations keep changing. The NIH disagrees with the World Health Organization, disagrees with Europe, but I think the research points to everyone eating 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground flax seeds every day of your life until you die. And that's about equivalent to American Heart Association's 1 to 2 fatty fish flesh meals a week. Now, and once you do grind it, then you do have to put it in the refrigerator. But ground flax seeds last for months in the refrigerator, although it should not last for months because you're going to eat it every day. What do you do with this stuff? Well, it's ground flaxseed is a light nutty powder. You can do it. You can sprinkle it on your oatmeal or whatever you're eating throughout the day. You can bake with it. You can make muffins, breads, all sorts of things with it. My current favorite is smoothies, though. You take 2 tablespoons of flax seeds, grind them up, and then half a frozen banana, some frozen blueberries, and some nice organic soy milk. Oh, the flax seeds have this real binding quality, such that you get these really thick, milkshakey smoothies. In fact, because of that binding quality, you can actually use ground flax seeds to replace eggs in baking. You take 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds, mix it up with 3 tablespoons of water, and then you mix it up to it's all frothy, gooey, snotty, and that replaces 1 egg in baking. That's actually the preferred egg replacer of my favorite vegan cookbook author, Joanne Stepanek, if I can give away all her secrets. Yes? They do not, and that's the amazing thing about ground flax seeds. You can bake them 350 degrees for an hour, and it doesn't hurt the omega-3 content at all, which is quite surprising. However, that's not the case with the flaxseed oil. And the reason I don't recommend the flaxseed oil is it's more expensive, goes rancid, it won't last even a few weeks in the fridge. It tastes kind of nasty, and you can't cook with it. You can't even heat it up for a few seconds because it destroys the omega-3s. But somehow, the way nature intended in the seed, you can grind the flax seeds up, bake them all you want. It doesn't hurt the omega-3s, but when you extract out the oil, the omega-3s are very unstable. So you have to use it in like a salad dressing or something uncooked. But the reason why I strongly recommend the ground flax seeds instead of the flaxseed oil is because you're missing out on all the other wonderful nutrients that are found in the flaxseed. Flaxseeds are also a wonderful source of soluble fiber and boron, and these wonderful phytoestrogens called lignans, anti-tumor, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer properties, just amazing things which you miss when you just take out the oil. Any way you cut it, flax seeds, I think, are really the best way to get your omega-3s, in many ways better than getting them from fish. To spite you for murdering them, fishies load up your body with toxic heavy metals like lead and mercury and DDT and PCBs. In fact, concerns over mental retardation and birth defects have led the FDA and the EPA to recommend that pregnant, breastfeeding women and small children limit their intake of fish in this country. Fish is a real food disaster from a food safety point of view. It can spread everything from hepatitis to cholera. Certainly, overfishing is a global environmental disaster, not to mention the poor fishies. So, when a fish-eating woman comes into my office, I've just got to hold up my hand and say, just the flax, man. Sorry. Okay, now if you look at the diagram, you see that's really only half the story. Yes, we have to increase our omega-3s, but we also have to decrease our omega-6s. Thankfully, that's totally easy. All we have to do is we go home tonight, and if we have any of the following oils, if you have any of the following oils in your house, cottonseed oil, corn oil, safflower oil, or sunflower oil, you are in need of an oil change. You should throw them the hell out, and instead, if you use oils in your baking, in cooking, which you don't have to, but if you do use oils, what oil should you use instead? There we go. Olive oil is the monounsaturated oils. The single best oil is olive. But it does have a distinctive taste, which may not be appropriate for all your cooking needs. And so canola oil, particularly I recommend organic canola oil because of the GMO issue, is second choice. Okay, so anyway, back to that Lyon Diet Heart trial. Well, how did they decrease their ratio from 20 down to 4, exactly where we want it? Remember 4 to 1? All they did is they sat down with everyone at the beginning of the study for half an hour and said, look, go home, whatever fats and oils you have in your house, throw them away and replace it with olive and canola. That's all they did, and wham, 20 down to 4, right, exactly where we want it. So, see, now, we could do that, right? Now, see, they didn't have to eat flax because both sides were eating fish, but imagine what we could do if we took our flax, got rid of those oils on top of our cholesterol levels. Remember, they had 70% drop, and they had miserable cholesterol levels, right? We are just going to blow them away. All right. Going back to here, you'll see, if we have a lot of omega-6s in our diet and not a lot of omega-3s, it might lead to more inflammation in our body. And that's why a lot of people with inflammatory conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, etc., actually take like flaxseed oil therapeutically in large doses to kind of tip their balance over to the non-inflammatory side. And indeed, we're finding more and more diseases tend to have an inflammatory component to them. Diseases like Alzheimer's disease. Studies suggest that those people who were taking chronic aspirin long-term for whatever reason had 5 times less Alzheimer's disease. Right? Now, no one should take chronic aspirin long-term without a prescription, I think. But what we can do is, again, we can tip the balance over to the non-inflammatory side, eating more omega-3s, less omega-6s. So am I saying that the same dietary change that's going to decrease our risk of heart disease is also going to decrease our risk of Alzheimer's as well? Yes, indeed. All right, so we have explored the first reason why vegetarians aren't living up to our potential, or more accurately, kind of out to our potential. Reason number 2 is probably even more important.